pitch to start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares on the best part of my day.
The goods from the woods.
Hot damn!
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
Pat Riley.
Mr. Goodnight, raised by the gypsy, son of a plumber, body made of twisted steel, supersonic sex appeal.
Raised by the Gypsy.
Yeah.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one yet.
Oh, it's true. It's all so true.
So was Dusty Rhodes' mother a gypsy, or was he just raised by the gypsy?
Oh,
and
no,
he's the son of the plumber.
It was Jimmy Valiant. I, however, had the plumber and the gypsy in my lineage, so I get both.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Those, I think we talked about this before. The American Gypsy wedding people all.
Oh, they weren't on that show.
No?
This is a different kind of voodoo. You understand?
No, this is
Different
voodoo. This is something else.
Yeah, they weren't them tankers neither. Or those ones that live around where my mother lives, there around Augusta. The women wear all the makeup and the big hair.
Yeah,
and all
that's that show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, it's not like them. We're talking covered wagons with garlic hanging on the outside and maybe a bottle of Chianti.
Are they really Roma, or are they just people that fashion themselves as being gypsies?
Oh, they're all liars. Do you really think they're from Rome? I don't.
Well, no, Roma, like Romanesh, like the
Yeah, from Romania.
yeah.
I mean, they might have been originally, but I see them as just a bunch of thieves and things like that. You know, that's why I got on with them. You know, gypsies, tramps, and thieves. Every night we'd hear it from the people of the town.
Oh man, I went to the Venice Grind open mic.
Yeah, it'd ground you down. You understand?
Yeah. And I recorded a little bit with with one of the acts.
Oh yeah, it was a super group.
Yeah, because I this is the first time I'd been to this open mic, and the thing with open mics,
I've yet to go to it, so
you should really go. The thing that's great about open mics, particularly in LA, is especially the mixed mics. You get mostly comedians, but also you get poets and musicians, and in this case, it was a little bit of both.
yeah. For a little frame of reference for people that aren't from LA or not familiar with the comedy scene in LA, mixed mics are actually a little bit rare in Los Angeles because there are so many stand-up comics, and there are so many venues for stand-up comics to perform in. Basically, you have the ability to differentiate the boundaries between the music open mics and the comedy open mics
And the poetry open
and
mics.
the poetry open mics. So
Yeah.
very rarely do those paths cross, but when they do, it's always a train wreck.
Yeah.
It's always a complete train wreck.
But it's always a good
It's
time.
always fun, yeah.
That's the important thing because
Yeah.
ain't nothing like watching a train wreck. You understand?
Oh, absolutely. And last Sunday I was there, and you'll have to set up the players because I'm kind of unfamiliar with.
We had the big bad voodoo daddy-o on guitar.
on Flying V, by the way.
Flyingville, he has all kinds of old guitars like that.
Yeah.
And we had...
and this is a blue flying V, so it's not like the
It's actually
classic.
purple.
Oh, sorry.
maybe you should have one of them. Remember them plexiglass ones like Keith Richards
The ones that
used to
are
have?
clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's Joe Satriani.
Yeah.
Yeah, the true triumvirate of wanky guitars: Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, and Yngwie J. Malmsteen.
Oh,
So,
that's right, Yngwie. Yeah.
So that's the guitar player, and then on fiddle.
On fiddle, we have. I'm kind of gonna be embarrassed again because I can never remember the feller's name, but he's a nice as hell guy.
Yeah.
Rudy, maybe.
Yeah, and then on poetry.
On poetry, we had Danny Boy, and let's not forget El Jefe Jesus on percussion too.
Oh, was there a percussion? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
He was sitting down, so I don't think he made
okay.
the video.
What was his percussive instruments?
He's
playing one of those
really
box.
loud. Yeah, one of those box
okay.
things with a resonator that makes it really loud.
I didn't know if he was like banging on a table or.
Not this time, but
Okay.
we do get a lot of table banging from time to time.
Yeah. But and this is so with their powers combined, this is what happened.
Sounds like the new Bob Dylan album.
So everybody, this is the sound of doing comedy in LA. This is
No, it's the sound of the mix mic.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the sound of Sundays. That's how, because I go by there every week and we have a blast.
I couldn't even figure out a single word
I
that
couldn't
Danny Boy
either.
said.
I think he made a couple passing references to Neil Young lyrics. That's what I heard.
I think he said something about the symbol of a gang.
Well, the lyrics are kind of buried in it, like on Exile on Main Street.
Okay.
But when you pick them out, that's where the joy comes.
Yeah, I heard him saying something about like your Cadillac's got a wheel in a ditch or something. I swear I heard a Neil Young lyric in there.
Oh, that was Alabama.
Yeah, that's what I
and
mean.
Wheel on a Track.
But
I
yeah,
like that song. You know, Neil Young was an expert at what I call depression rock because it was just this very sort of depressed 70s, listen to it in your basement with a black light on high kind of stuff.
Oh, hell yeah. Obviously, the news the past couple days has been real shitty. David Bowie, obviously, who we talked about at length in this podcast, passed away at the age of 69. That was real. That was
extremely
a real shitty way to start the week off.
Oh, it was a real shocker, I thought. But you know, the funny thing was, I kind of, I got this thing. I went down, and my mama, she cut me out this thing with an interview with Keith Richards. Because she was, the Rolling Stones are in the newspaper again. So, and I read this interview with Keith Richards, and I'd never read such a sobering interview with Keith Richards. Because, it used to be, Keith Richards interviews, and they ask him about the Stones, and he just says stuff like, this band's going to be going into a roll in a coffin, baby.
Yeah.
But even Richards, there was sort of a man we haven't toured since 2007 type vibe to it. And you think about it, there's going to be it's happening now. We lost so many icons just over the last year.
Yeah.
And you figure there's going to be a day when we're going to lose all these rock icons like this. I mean, I think Bowie, the thing that makes it a shocker is just the out of sequence because we still have 60s guys left.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah.
But I mean, there'll be a day when the Rolling Stones will be no more.
Yeah.
And then everybody's going to feel old.
Yeah.
Although I think everybody's already feeling from the Bowie thing.
I was going to say, then you got, the Beatles, you got Led Zeppelin is three quarters still alive.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks.
It really does. It's cultural malaise is what I attribute it to, because we got all these iconic celebrities and they all go way back now because it's just there's not enough. The newer ones ain't picking it up enough, I guess.
Right. Well, it's also a lot of like cultural dispersion, and I think a lot of that is due to the internet.
Balkanization.
It's very, very decentralized.
Yeah,
celebrity is. This was something I thought of like when Michael Jackson died. It was like, oh, well, who's going to be that next guy? And I was like, I don't think that guy can exist anymore.
Well, I can tell you who the next Michael Jackson is going to be. Michael Jackson was the second Elvis, and the next one's going to be George Lucas. Think about this now. Think about this. Elvis, the day before he died, what was he? He was a tabloid figure, and everybody was like, oh, man, have you heard Elvis is out of shape, and, he's not what he used to be, even with the comeback 10 years ago. Then he died.
Yeah.
And the next day, nobody could live without him.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson was a laughingstock.
Oh, totally.
On June 24th, 2009.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he died on the day of Custer. And then all of a sudden, all his sins were forgiven, which is what happens when you die on that day.
Yeah.
And everybody now couldn't live without Michael Jackson. And I think George Lucas is going to be the next one like that. He'll be the guy everybody's like, oh, George Lucas, what has that has been done lately?
Yeah.
And then he'll die and everybody will realize how could they've ever lived without Uncle George in the first place?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
I wouldn't. I don't think that George Lucas is conspicuous enough in order to.
But
and there
Star
isn't a
Wars
level.
is, though.
It is, but it's like it's not like he is the visible face of it.
Well, we'll see.
Or he
when it
hasn't been
happens.
for a while, and he's one of those people that you don't. He hasn't had a huge public scandalous drop off like that. It's very conspicuous.
Well, he had them horrible prequels.
He did, yeah. But I mean,
And
I guess
the
it's-
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and Red Wings.
That's true.
There you go.
And
I think, a pretty precipitous drop.
I mean, honestly, I think probably if you were to extend that out, I would say that more than likely you would have to look at it at somebody like a Robert De Niro, because Robert De Niro is so distant from his peak.
Yeah.
He's so distant from
Pacino's
Raging
too.
Bull.
But the thing is, so De Niro is a dramatic actor, and I don't think people have that same kind of connection like they do with a singer or with not so much Lucas himself, but what he created.
Yeah.
Whereas De Niro can be a villain in movies, he can be intense and all that. And when he dies, I think it'd be, like when a Brando dies or something, you say, "Oh, this was an iconic actor" or something like that. But I don't know if it hits home personal like it does on some of this other stuff.
No, I could see that. I was just saying with like when Michael Jackson went, it was like the music business has changed so much that Michael Jackson was in everybody's home all the time because there was radio and there was MTV,
right,
and there were records, and that's it. He was ubiquitous.
Actually, I have mine,
and it's hard to be ubiquitous now.
I think that the next person that would have that sort of resonance, like a Michael Jackson or an Elvis Presley, and it might be a while from now, but I think the last person that has had that position would be Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan,
yeah. I think that, like, especially considering the fact that Michael Jordan now is such an immense drop off of what Michael Jordan was when he was, double 3P Michael Jordan, Gatorade Michael Jordan, Space Jam Michael Jordan. Yeah. Like nowadays, he's just the surly looking guy in the ill fitting suit with the Hitler mustache.
Occasionally has a Hitler mustache.
Yeah.
That's
or the guy in the guy in the worst jeans ever. Like he's a billionaire, but he manages to wear the ugliest jeans ever that look like
draws.
Yeah, like he bought those things at Goodies. He bought a pair of Pacos at Goodies, and he rocks those things to this day. But they managed probably to cost more than my car.
Actually, not too grim to get into a death pool like this, but Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time, he's still out there and he's aged and all that.
Right. But his drop off hasn't been any of his own fault though.
Well, no, I know, but I mean.
I don't know that Inoki versus Ali match was definitely
and some of them later fights he had.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things that, like, if Muhammad Ali passed away, say in 1992, that would definitely be that case. But when he lit the torch at the Olympic Games in '96. It was kind of one of those things where, he was shaking. Yeah, he could barely hold the torch, but it was like this kind of swan song for him.
Right.
It was almost like that thing where we came to terms with the fact that Muhammad Ali was, unrightfully ostracized from the world of sport because of his political leanings, because of the fact that he didn't serve in Vietnam. So it was kind of we've reconciled with that sort of thing as a culture.
And now he's quite aged too.
Yeah, and he doesn't really manifest in the public's eye very frequently.
Because some people can be big players, big men ball players, but they'll die and they're so old. Like Nelson Mandela. Right. He was 92. He was so old. It's like we knew it was coming sometime.
Yeah. Well, it's not a tragedy after a certain age. It's like, well, hey man, that's a good long run.
Yeah, but I think that if like Michael Jordan, suddenly passed away, it would be a thing where we would be in that same sort of situation where we, it's almost like outside of his shoes. Michael Jordan is a punchline for, so many different things. His bad clothing, his inability to be a good NBA executive, his
horrible restaurant that was shut down by the health department.
Michael Jordan cologne.
Remember when he had the batteries? He was endorsing batteries, and he wore an earring that was the batteries logo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the reason, I wouldn't even call into the discussion somebody like Dylan or Paul McCartney is because they're still kind of out there doing their shit.
Death scare in like '97.
No.
You don't remember that one?
No.
He got a fungal infection. I shit you not. He got a fungal infection. He rode his motorcycle.
A fungal infection.
Well, every time now he gets on that motorcycle, something bad happens.
Well, yeah.
And he got a fungal infection.
I figured it out.
Did he run into a mushroom field?
Well, no, he drove through one.
Yeah.
Something. Wanted to get that Lisa Frank feel on when the rubber meets the road, you understand, or the dirt.
He got into the accident and his athlete's foot hit his head, and
Somebody told me at the open mic I was at last night that their parents, before they had children, when they were just dating, would one of their things they would always do was get a mushroom pizza from this specific pizza place every Thursday night, and they all had these dreams that they were ashamed of when they woke up Friday. They had these horrible dreams where they did terrible things.
What kind of mushrooms were on?
Well, that's the thing, yeah. And they figured it out. It was something with the mushrooms at this place. They'd been stored incorrectly or something. So they had these dreams where they were chopping up hookers and all kinds of horrible shit like that.
Actually, I think that the person that would be in the same position as Michael Jordan, if he was to pass away in the next say 2 or 3 years, would be Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah, I think
Hogan's a great one.
Yeah, because Hulk Hogan is basically, and rightfully so.
Well,
He's
Persona non grata.
really,
Yeah.
he's really kind of hit a bump of late too.
Well, I mean, he's
Yeah.
been in a very, very steady decline
Yeah.
for a while, and then that whole thing with the his rants.
Right. Well,
on
he
that-
had like, I mean, there was a nice like hope spot there for a minute when he was doing, you know, he was like the pump up guy at WWE. I felt that like that was a good kind of spot for him. Would be that, you know, not wrestling, just coming out and being like, "Are you ready for this?" You know.
Oh, yeah.
And then all the shit.
You want to buy that WWE network for $9.99, brother?
Right, right, and then and apparently there's more. By the way, I just found out there've been whatever lawyer it is that was like holding all those tapes and stuff. There's actually a lot more.
Yeah, actually,
Is this
there
a
was
setup? Did they somehow invite Hogan over and get him to do every regrettable thing possible in one day?
I think so, because the whole thing is it's Bubba the Love Sponge's wife.
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, come over here and you know, be a, I guess like a, you know."
Well, they I think the wife swapping thing was a regular sort of thing where
Right.
like him and Bubba would swap wives.
Right, which is Florida, man.
Yeah,
Florida
whatever.
billionaires, man.
Whatever gets Linda off your back, you understand? I mean, hell.
I think she's been gone for a while. Linda
So he was
Hogan.
swapping a better wife than her?
Yeah, yeah.
That's just dumb, Holtz.
He got a new one, yeah. At the
He's going to keep better company because Bubba the Love Sponge was
God.
never on the plane of the Hulkster.
I know.
And now he done drug him down his mire.
I mean, it
Yeah.
could be worse. He could have been hanging out with Man-Cow Muller, but
yeah, I was gonna say, or fucking Will the Farter or something.
Ron-
Beetlejuice.
but yeah, it's no, there was like kind of rumors that were coming out that like the thing the thing that was released as his rant in that video was just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
And he was he apparently was addressing like singular people in these rants. Like he was like there were singular people he was
Oh, I'm pretty
He
sure
was
because
cutting-
I don't think anybody just gets that mad generically. I think he specifically had people in mind with them rants all the time.
Yeah, except for Mel Gibson, who.
Well, no, Mel Gibson's another story. I wish he would watch out for everybody else's career too, because I was an extra and I can be seen in Edge of Darkness, and yet he did not win any Oscars because you can't think about if you can't think about your career, Mel, how about everybody else's? You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah,
But I have to give tours out on like whenever we go to Malibu, and I always point out the corner of Topanga Canyon in Malibu where he got pulled over. And yeah, you look at that exchange, and I mean they have the full thing, and it just goes from like nothing to the Jews start all the wars, unprovoked.
These are the words.
How horrible does he think they were? I read to him the officer's account of the words he used that night. Expletive Jews. And to Officer Me, are you a Jew? And
The Jews are responsible for all the wars in the world. Are those anti-Semitic words?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Sounds horrible. And I'm ashamed of that. That came out of my mouth. That I'm not that. That's not who I am, you know.
I've heard people say, I am a angry drunk. Fill in the blank. I am a...
Happy drunk until I snap for no reason and just turn. Just I've been angry all my life.
Well, his problem might have been in a bottle too when you think about it.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I've been to enough bars in the South that you get around, everything is peaceful, easy, and then out of nowhere, some guy had just one too many sips of Bud Light.
Oh boy,
And then the conspiracies come out.
I wonder if this isn't what happened with the Hulkster. But the thing that's really going to kick you in the ass is, I mean, everything he said was regrettable, but it was like 8 years ago.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
And so
yeah.
then it comes to bite you in the ass then instead of now. I
Right.
mean, now instead of then, you understand?
Yeah, if it had all come out in 2007, he would have been like in the TNA.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered.
And then,
It would have been a
Vinny
tree
could
falling
have
in the
brought him
woods.
back. But yeah.
Yeah.
And he could have had like his moment of, what's the word I'm looking for? Redemption.
Yeah.
Because that's always the thing with any sort of scandal is there's always that sort of moment of redemption that comes out where it's like, what sort of social processes does the person have to go through in order to rehabilitate themselves within the eyes of the public?
Because the Hulkster probably felt he was personally rehabilitated even before this crap came out. And then it turns out now his public image goes through the mud because of stuff that happened back then.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't help him that he was doing all those all lives matter
Yeah, he was
hashtag
retweeting.
things where it was actually like It was actually photographs of Premiership League soccer players and things like that. It was like
Other than that, I mean, what else is he going
Frank
to
Lampard and Florent Maluda hanging out.
If you ever go to the Hulkster's tweeter, other than that, though, it's mostly just, hey, Hulkster, can you retweet me? People begging for that, and pictures of Brooks' legs.
Yeah.
That's always interesting when you see the pro wrestling tweets. Like if you follow in like the tweet stream, the responses to particular tweets, some of that stuff is just odd.
Yeah.
Well, like that, the ones that I find to be most ridiculous are Renee Young, who's the
announcer,
the announcer for the WWE. She in real life is dating Dean Ambrose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there are a couple, but there's this thing in the Twitter scape that's really interesting, where it's this weird sort of extended slash fiction, like this sort of sexualized fan fiction between Paige and Dean Ambrose.
Oh, yeah.
So there's these like accounts that people start as like either Dean Ambrose or Paige, where they basically exchange with another fake Dean Ambrose. They're the I love you, and it's like, but not even I love you, like, but these really graphic sexual things.
Do you know?
And like when Renee Young tweets, you have these fake pages coming out the woodwork. They're like, stop messing with my man.
Oh, that's amazing.
I gotta say, remember MySpace when that was big?
Yeah.
About a third of MySpace was actually role playing.
Yeah.
Like you'd have whoever, Dean Ambrose wasn't big then, but whoever, a lot of times characters from cartoons.
Yeah.
And
it was like that on Friendster too.
Yeah, they would have like kayfabe romances with another cartoon character, or another celebrity or something, but it was just all like MySpace role playing.
Right. So it'd be like Sonic the Hedgehog trying to get with Renee Zellweger.
Yeah, anything like that. Yeah.
That'd be a great couple.
It would be.
But my favorite,
Sonic the Hedgehog had great music.
That's my favorite. Is that one? Is that Green Hill Zone? Which
I think
one
that's
is that?
that's the first one. The first game, first level was
that Green Hill Zone?
Green Hill Zone. Yeah.
I'd love to see the red carpet at Casino Zone with Renee Zellweger and Sonic, and Dr. Robotnik is just spreading gossip about their relationship.
Right here, brother. You understand? They used to call me Dr. Robotnik.
My favorite of those MySpace fake celebrity ones was Danzig. Danzig's one was.
Who was he going out with?
Danzig wasn't going out with anybody, but
not
he would,
Paige, not nobody.
No, but he would post on people's walls about about like flexing and posing. He was all about flexing and posing, like going out.
Is this the real Danzig?
No, the fake Danzig.
Okay, you're always following Danzig.
No, Danzig's where I'm at. Okay,
I mean, this was obviously a false lead, but we know if somebody needs to know where in the world is Danzig, come to Pat.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got all the scoop on Danzig.
The paths cross, but yeah, it was the fake Danzig on MySpace would like post things on people's walls randomly about like flexing and posing and like rubbing oil on his legs and standing out on the lawn with the garden hose, flexing and posing with the garden hose while watering his lawn.
I was gonna ask, have you guys seen John Cena's Instagram?
Is it really him or
it's really him? Have you seen this?
No.
Oh my god!
Is it a lot of photographs of like protein bars?
No,
because they're really into that sort of thing.
Dude, go to @John Cena on Instagram. His bio says, "Welcome to my Instagram. These images will be posted without explanation for your interpretation. Enjoy."
Oh,
and then he just
like
posts
abstract art,
random images like here and
is that
with
Tesla.
With there's no caption. Yeah, there's no captions on any of these. He just posts random images from Google. So like there's the Hindenburg, there's Salvador Dali for no reason. It's the most bizarre. Like here's a man with sunglasses and a dog and a guitar, and there's no like it's the most surreal. So what happened? I mean, you could just
don't know. It's probably the most interesting thing I've ever heard coming from John Cena.
Yeah,
I mean,
look, 007 GoldenEye cartridge. Here's Goku from Dragon Ball Z.
I hate that show.
There's no like it's not like there's a caption that's not a meme. Yeah, there's Play-Doh, Ric Flair, Jon Stewart, like just Toucan Sam,
Life cereal.
I think I saw Ernest.
Oh, yeah. Ernest is the shit.
Smokey and the Bandits.
Yeah, like there's Luke Skywalker, jumping rope. Like the whole thing is just
This guy's amazing.
I was gonna say, yeah, they're pretty impressive.
Like,
John Cena, you got some kind of sense of humor beneath that ball cap.
I think John Cena might be the weirdest dude of all time.
He has to be, and that's great
Because and just in my experience, I mean, the people I grew up with that to the outside world would appear the most normal and kind of boring, when you really get to know them, are way weirder than the people who outside look
Have
weird,
you,
know what I mean?
have you ever watched Total Divas?
I have not.
I've watched a couple of episodes of it, and John Cena on that show is hilarious.
Okay.
In the fact that he is the most normal guy on that entire show. Like, he is the dad that basically, he's like the playground recess monitor that keeps everything in order,
He
essentially.
narcs on people and shit.
Yeah.
Whenever
and-
he enters a room, does his theme play? Because I just imagine it follows him around all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because one of the recurring things, I think, I could be wrong, is that they basically pose Nikki Bella as being like the dumbest person ever. Like, just not like a lack of common sense. Yeah, to a degree, but like just the fact that she can read is a complete miracle. And like, it's just her trying to explain something really poorly, and just like John Cena sighing in disgust and being like, no, actually,
I should probably start watching this
Hannibal
show.
was not Roman. In fact, he was
Carthaginian.
He was Carthaginian.
He took an oat, you understand? A Carthaginian oat. In Spain, if you will.
Yeah. And now
Oat.
An oat, like, what's his name? Joe LeDuc.
Well, no, there was an episode of Fishing with John where he was in.
You ever seen Fishing with Fredo?
wait, there's a John Cena fishing show?
No, I wish. Oh my God, that would be so amazing.
Fishing with John would
or
be-
you could just merge the two, and it could be John Lurie fishing with John Cena.
Dude, this is the network. Why don't we sell this to the
Yeah.
network? Yeah.
Yeah, a fishing show.
Yeah, a
I could
fishing
go for
show.
that,
That'd
yeah.
be hilarious. Dude, the three of us in a boat, and then it's a new wrestler every episode. Make this happen. Somebody start tweeting at WWE.
Who would be the fishing show host for the Fishing with John of the WWE network?
Well, I'm proposing the three of us.
Oh, okay.
Paul
Would be
Orndorff.
the-
Yeah,
would
well,
be
see,
the
because
host,
that
and
way we
then-
get a job. And we could actually throw people off the boat if we don't like them.
Yeah, and then but we'd have a different wrestler every week, and the whole thing
Well,
would
the-
be kind of perfect.
Well,
'Cause,
the premise of Fishing with John. Have you guys seen Fishing
No,
with John?
no, I don't-
Okay,
It's
so
a
the premise
fishing
of
show, right?
it's a fishing show
gathered that.
starring John Lurie from various Jim Jarmusch movies. He was in the Lounge Lizards.
So this is like celebrity fishing.
What it was on the original Bravo network. So it was only went for one season, and he goes on fishing trips with like Tom Waits
I think I've seen that one.
Matt Dillon. But the thing is that they go fishing, and they go on these fishing expeditions to these like exotic places. So Tom Waits and John Lurie go fishing in Jamaica, and they're just all weird. Like they're weird people.
Yeah.
But they work in these fake narratives into the show. So it's them. So there's one where Willem Dafoe goes fishing with John Lurie, and they work in this narrative where they accidentally drop a pack of cheese crackers in this ice hole because they're going ice fishing, and they work in this thing that because they ruin the cheese crackers, they starve to death. And they're not catching any fish, so they starve to death. And they have this fake narrator on there.
This was on Bravo.
Yeah.
So they canceled that. They're
Hang
like,
on,
all right, this
nobody catches no fish on no episode?
No, they catch fish, but like on that episode, they don't catch any fish.
Okay, so don't
they
go fishing with Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, exactly. So they starve to death, but they have this really weird narrator that goes on there, and he tells the story of what's going on. But for every once in a while, he'll say something that doesn't make any sense, where he's just like, "Can I have a bite of your sandwich?" Or shark gets its name from the German word "Schurke," meaning villain. And it's just it's not
never
true.
knew that.
It's like these but it's not true. They just make up these
Oh, they're
things.
lying to us. those
Yeah, exactly.
assholes.
Or just saying these really fake philosophical like things where it's like, how big is the ocean? We'll never know. How small are we? Fishing. It's just so the thing would be a WWE.
What was Bravo before?
It was this weird Japanese company that paid to produce it because for some reason.
Okay, once you throw Japan into this mix, this is all starting
John
to make a little more
Lurie and
sense.
the Lounge Lizards, the jazz band, and Jim Jarmusch movies are huge in Japan. They're like really big in Japan. So
Okay.
this Japanese, like I think it was Toshiba that paid for it, and they were just like, do all these, and they paid for it, and Bravo picked it up because they had like a lack of arts programming on there.
Well, that's what I'm asking. What was the channel before? Like
It was weird arts programming. So it was like, sex lies and videotape all the time, or
Cirque du
movies like
Soleil.
that. Fishing with John, all these weird sort of avant-garde things. So it was like the avant-garde channel initially.
Yeah, okay.
And then it became like the Real Housewives of,
Yeah.
That's called drift.
Yeah, network drift. It was essentially network drift.
Yeah, they've all drifted.
Yeah.
They're all reality shows now. You turn on Animal Planet and there ain't no animals. Although that show with the whales in the Arctic, that show was fun.
I like How Cute. How
I
Cute's the
haven't
best
seen
one.
that.
It's just like a bunch of puppies rumpusing around, and a narrator creates a story.
I have seen that. That is cute.
It's fantastic. But so you'd have to get a WWE person that goes, the regular host that goes with some other WWE people to these exotic locales, and it's a completely made up story where they have to find like the giant squid that's like hypnotizing people. That's the Dennis Hopper episode. So you would have to find somebody that could be the stable straight person throughout the entire series, and then you get the people in there. So
Well, you know what? If he doesn't ever come back from this neck injury, Daniel Bryan has the beard. He could just add a stocking cap and yellow plastic raincoat.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. You could have a harpoon.
Yeah. Well, he likes to
Yeah,
go clam
Vince.
gigging for clams. So
Well, who
you know.
doesn't really?
Yeah,
Vince,
that's great.
If you're listening,
This is
Because I would love to, if they could reconcile with him, I would love to see an episode where Daniel Bryan takes Scott Steiner out fishing in the Amazon. That would be so amazing.
that would be a trip.
You got you out of your mind, because tonight we're going to beat you at your own game. And after it's all said and done, you're going to be taking splinters out of your fat asses all night long because you got some fat asses. The only chance you have no chance, but you had a chance, is you can run lickety split. But you can't run because you got the fat asses. After it's done, we're going to have a tailgate party for all my freaks out there.
We're reaching that point where people that are of that era, that 60s and 70s era, that were like kind of the big pop cultural figures, are now reaching that age where they're passing away of natural causes. It's not one of those things where they're passing away because they overdosed or
Or they're killed like John Lennon or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's like one of those things. I think that's like the big joke on Twitter now that 69 is the new 27. It's like, it's true because everybody that kind of made it through that process, that vetting process of drugs or what have you, is reaching that point where it's like, Lemmy's dying of natural causes. David Bowie's dying of natural causes.
And then Alan Rickman died yesterday too, which is What do you mean that? That's fucking crazy.
Who are we talking about?
Alan Rickman, Hans Gruber, man, like one of the greatest movie villains of all time, and he's also Severus Snape from Harry Potter. And
I don't know that Harry Potter.
I don't
Do you
know
mean
that
the
Harry
bad
Potter.
guy from Die Hard or something?
Yeah, he passed away.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, and he. I mean, I'm just letting the audience know where they would know him from. I'm not like a big Harry Potter nut or nothing, but that's pretty big, man. That's sad because I really liked him as an actor.
You know, one that affected me, and this was about a year ago, but it was kind of one of the. Remember talking about these 60s and 70s when Leonard Nimoy died?
Yeah.
Because I figured, he was going to be around forever. Because I'd seen an interview with him where he talked about people in his family being long lived.
Yeah,
and we still got Shatner, but Leonard Nimoy died, and I felt bad about him because I always thought he was a real good actor.
Oh, totally.
The Spock thing kind of masked the fact that it was one of the most original characterizations ever on TV.
Yeah, totally.
But everybody remembers Spock and Star Trek. That's where franchise and stuff ruins the original art of it. But if you just go back and watch, there was nothing on TV like Spock before that. And he deserves a lot of props as an actor for bringing that kind of character to life in such a complicated way.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, he was always, whenever he would pop up on stuff, because unfortunately, Star Trek kind of, like a lot of times when you get a big role like that, kind of fucks you up for the rest of your
you get
career.
typecast.
Remember he wrote the book, I Am Not Spock?
Yeah.
And then he wrote another one years later, I Am Spock.
Yeah. Yeah. But, whenever he would pop up on stuff, you'd see him and you're like, oh my God, he was really, and he was on, he was on The Simpsons a bunch. He was hilarious whenever he was on The Simpsons.
He was on In Search Of.
Yeah, In Search Of was the balls.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Transformers the movie, he was in that too.
I think it's interesting with the Bowie case because he still remained very current. It wasn't like one of those things that he was like kind of frozen in carbonite.
Yeah,
sort of. It's
totally.
not like Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend, where the Who still go out and they tour, and they just play like Bob O'Reilly, just 15 times in a row.
It's easier for an individual artist to do that than a band,
right?
Because a band is always kind of trapped in that. The Rolling Stones always have to be the Rolling Stones, like they were in 1969, even though they're a really old version of it now.
Yeah.
But Bowie was kind of the ultimate chameleon.
Yeah.
And he would always just change it up every few years because he did. Because I mean, what was his band? He just had them Spiders with Mick Ronson or whatever.
And then he had the rotating group of musicians, like Carlos Alomar and Adrian Bellew and all those other folks.
Yeah, we mentioned Paul earlier. Paul does the same kind of thing where now he just shows up in weird stuff now. He's just like, and I think Bowie did the same thing where
You mean McCartney?
McCartney, yeah. Like he did apparently the song's been out for a minute, but I just heard the thing he did with Rihanna and Kanye. Have you heard that?
Woke up an optimist. Sun was shining, I'm positive.
He's not even singing on it. It's just him playing guitar on a Kanye West and Rihanna song.
No, I knew about it because there was this whole thing on Twitter again where people were tweeting that Kanye is so generous because he's letting this old guy.
He's helping this old guy out.
This old British guy out. It's like, jeez.
Well, McCartney had been known to
in earnest.
Ernest wasn't on that. He's dead.
Yeah.
But McCartney was. I miss him too. He was a great talent.
Oh man.
But McCartney had been doing like duets since way back when he did like Ebony and Ivory. And, the ones with Michael Jackson and all that.
But. Yeah, but also his albums, especially like the ones from the 80s and then again in like the late 90s, are always like he would always he'd do kind of like classic, what you would expect, but also he would throw in just like weird shit too.
He always had that kind of noodling around. That's one of the things I never cared from it. A lot of the times his songs I felt in his solo albums just felt kind of like he was just goofing around on some in the studio. Yeah. But he did have the thing with Matt Cartney and all them solo Beatles is they actually had a lot of hits throughout the 70s and into the 80s. And then there was a certain point, I think in the early 90s, where it just sort of stopped.
Yeah.
But if you look at McCartney's, if you will, his track record, he's still having big hits throughout like the 70s and into the 80s and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
or even in the 90s too, because he had that album Flaming Pie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but that one was kind of like a comeback because he'd had that one called Off the Ground, and that was the first time he'd made an album, and it just.
The only thing that Steven Tyler ever did that I really liked was that on the Grammy nomination show that they had on VH1 when that album was nominated, I think it was 96, Steven Tyler was just like, "What's a flaming pie? Is that when you eat too many jalapenos?" And then you go, it's just like, that's what happens when you eat too many jalapenos and hot sauce.
Well, let's not forget once they had some shit at the Smithsonian or something like that, and Steven Tyler declared, "I want to put my baloney in the Aero Smithsonian."
That's the quote that I've been trying to remember, and I can't remember.
Well, here's the thing. If he can talk like that, why come he needs song doctors for his records? Because he practically talks in damn song.
Bowie was one of those artists that your mom and dad didn't listen to Bowie.
My dad, you're right.
Yeah, your mom, like, I'm talking in a very generic sense because my dad did listen to Bowie, but your mom and dad didn't listen to Bowie. Your mom and dad listened to the Beatles, or your mom and dad listened to the Rolling Stones, and you grew up around that, or Simon and Garfunkel, and you grew up around that sort of thing.
He was one of those post-60s stars.
And you end up discovering him when you turn 15, and it becomes one of those things amongst, the people that did listen to David Bowie that are much younger. You discover that sort of thing, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that kind of kickstarts your self-discovery or your acquaintanceship with culture in a way.
No, you're absolutely right. Because my parents, I talked to my parents a couple days ago, and my dad was just like, I never really listened to David Bowie. You're totally right, though. Yeah, my parents had no. They knew of him obviously, but they just weren't like huge fans. But when I was in high school, a friend of mine, back in the days of burn CDs, got a hold of Ziggy Stardust from somebody, and I listened to it. I was like, holy shit!
I had the
amazing.
tape.
Yeah, my old man, that he has that album.
Yeah.
He didn't have the actual record, but like I remember when CD burners came out, he was just like, "Could you burn me Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars?" The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust. You know? I had that album, but I lost it. You know,
Yeah.
it was one of those. He was a fan, but it wasn't one of those things that was like really present. Where like my dad was a big fan of like early Lou Reed, and
That's
we
actually-
listened to early Lou Reed in the car.
That's
He
actually
died a couple of years ago.
Exactly.
now,
Well,
yeah.
But he
that's
was also kind of a piece of shit.
But that's also kind of a perfect example of what you're talking about, where like I don't think many people's parents were necessarily into the Velvet Underground when it was around. You know, famously, whatever they said, they sold like 1,000 records, but everybody who bought one started a band. But if your parents aren't,
Yeah, that was the problem.
Yeah.
Except for with the New York Dolls.
Yeah.
yeah. But you know,
Or Brian Eno, who actually said the quote originally. You know.
yeah,
Didn't he work with Bowie?
Yeah, he did.
Was
he
it
did.
Low Hero and The Lodger, those ones? Or-
Yeah, and they worked together because people kind of mistakenly say that Brian Eno produced those albums. He didn't actually. Tony Visconti did.
Oh, the T-Rex guy.
Yeah, who played with Bowie originally. So when Bowie was transitioning from Space Odyssey Bowie, where he was kind of doing a Mark Bolan thing
But
in a
when
way,
he
like
had the
a
orange hair.
Yeah,
and
well, he was doing like Tyrannosaurus Rex essentially, you know, and it was very kind of like.
Oh yeah,
He was like kind of like a Donovan,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
early Mark Bolan sort of thing.
sheep voice.
Yeah, and when he
Like early Bowie. Go find the little world.
Yeah.
If you want to know what pre-glam rock T-Rex sounds like, it sounds like this. Find the little world. Have a little sleep. Yeah. That's what it sounds
because they were
like.
basically trying to sound like Donovan in a
Yeah.
way. Yeah. But Tony Visconti was part of a band the backing band that David Bowie formed called The Hype. And he formed it before Man Who Sold the World. Tony Visconti was the bassist, and they had a long-term relationship when it came to production. So I think Brian Eno didn't produce David Bowie stuff until like very later, like Heathens.
yeah.
Okay, you know your Bowie there, Pat.
But yeah, so when Tony Visconti and all those guys formed The Hype, which became the backing band for Man Who Sold the World, which is a fantastic album. That album is really, really good. They came out when they performed for the first time, and they were all dressed like David Bowie was just wearing his normal David Bowie clothes, but he had the band dress up in like these superhero outfits with a big H on them, and people were just like, "What the fuck is this?" Like they were completely mind blown, and not necessarily in a positive way. But yeah, Tony Visconti had this sort of long relationship with Bowie and was responsible for, tailoring his sound.
Well, actually, if we're going to talk about Bowie's sound, I want to say one thing about the guy that got me interested in him, who was Mick Ronson, the guitarist on all them records like
The 70s
Ziggy
ones.
Stardust and Watch That Man. That was my favorite.
Yeah. Aladdin Sane, yeah.
Yeah. And he was pretty badass guitarist.
Oh man, yeah.
He had that great like early 70s hard rock sound and all that. I used to listen with Bowie's records just because I liked the guitar.
So Diamond Dogs was kind of the end of that sort of
Glam rock sound,
Bowie, and when he switched into Blue-Eyed Soul David Bowie, which. If anybody wants something really funny to watch, definitely check out David Bowie on Soul Train.
Oh yeah.
It is one of the greatest Soul Train interviews ever. And there's a lot of really good ones that are, unintentionally funny because Don Cornelius was always so stiff whenever he would interview people.
I found the interview, by the way.
David Bowie.
David Bowie.
Pronounces it like George Clinton does.
The English always called him Bowie. Did you ever notice that?
Nice to have you with
David
us.
Bowie is coked out of his mind.
Yep.
Our folks would probably like to ask you some questions
I'll draw to answer them.
after I get my dumb ones out of the way.
Oh, yes. I've got some dumb answers.
I understand you just did a film.
Yes.
Which,
the director of the film is Nicholas Rowe, and it's called The Man Who Fell to Earth. And it's a bit like a Howard Hughes story, but he's sort of an alien. No, but it doesn't look
This is called The Man Who Did Too Much Coke.
The men who did too much coke.
Well, it's one person, but it looks like it.
Don Cornelius don't sweat as much as James Brown did.
Yeah.
Yes, I
We'll
started
take you to Russia.
Yes. We've asked if we can play in Russia.
Have
I haven't
any other
replied yet.
contemporary music acts played in Russia that you know of?
No.
Yes, my name is David Benson. How you doing?
My name is David
Is
too.
it true that you're going to be teaming up with Elizabeth Taylor to do a film?
No.
Yes, my name is Glenn Stafford. And
I would have liked to have
know,
seen
when
that.
did you actually start getting into soul music?
Well, back in England, you see. back in England, London, when I was a teenager.
His teeth are so atrocious right there.
Well, he says English.
It's just I don't. There's a similar expression over here. On street corners, we have street corners in London, and we used to go to a lot of clubs. And James Brown was very popular in the French clubs.
Okay, David, I think we have to move on. Your latest single, correct?
Yes, it's called Golden Years.
Golden Years.
Yeah. One more time.
So, do we have favorite Bowie songs or?
Well, I can tell you my favorite Bowie moment.
Okay, go
the
for
movie
it.
Labyrinth, because like I always say, you come for Jennifer Connelly's tits, but you stay for David Bowie's package. There's no doubt about that.
Was Jennifer Connelly like 15 in that movie?
Yeah, but I was like a kid when I saw it too.
Yeah.
So that's all right. We'll get to Conan the Destroyer another time. Okay?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I love, like I said, I love Station to Station. Love the song Station to Station. Ziggy Stardust, that was the first one I heard, the first one I got into. So that whole album, I think, is one of those rare albums that's perfect, back to back, not a bad song on it. So, if you're listening out there and you've never listened to David Bowie, I think that's the place to start, honestly, that or Hunky Dory.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of move on to his other albums, which are just as good, but, you know, those two are just the most pop, out of the gate, like easy to get into.
I would say I would put Aladdin Sane in there. I think Aladdin Sane is the most quintessential, like when people think of David Bowie as
God, the Gene Genie
and
Watch
cracked
That
actor.
Man. That's
Watch
what I
That
like.
Man. There's so many things, so many entry points, and I think that there's a lot of ways you can kind of go into it. I mean, I think that Heroes is my one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Or even I think Low is probably a good one for people because you get both
Sound and Vision,
Sound and Vision, Be My Wife, all those songs.
Which
that are
one is When You're a Boy?
That's on Lodger.
Okay.
Yeah, so Lodger is the last of the Berlin trilogy.
Trilogy.
So that was from '79. Low has like Sound and Vision and Be My Wife, so the more conventional songy songs, and you flip that thing over and you get the really weird esoteric German, like him pretending he was in Kraftwerk, essentially.
Right.
But you get both on there, and it's a good little entryway into it. But Heroes is also good, It's funky and it rocks and it's weird. But I think another really good one is the Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars last show is something that people could really check out. It's a live one, and that's actually one of the first times I actually saw Bowie as Bowie. Was they used to play it on VH1 Movies That Rock?
Oh, I used to watch that too.
Yeah, and that's a great little documentary. The documentary itself is really good because it was just basically him retiring the Ziggy Stardust alter ego.
Yeah,
and but the album itself covers two shows. One of them's at the Hammersmith Odeon, and I'm not sure where the other one is. It might be also at the Hammersmith Odeon. But he does a lot of songs that aren't necessarily within his album oeuvre. He does All the Young Dudes that goes into All You Pretty Things, and it segs automatically into it. Like it's quick seg, and it's really cool. He does a version of White Light, White Heat.
I remember that.
Yeah, which is bitchin'.
Doesn't he do Moon Age Daydream?
Yeah, he does Moon Age Daydream. It basically covers all the really good Bowie songs of that sort of glam rock Bowie era.
Yeah, I like that era.
But he does a version of a Jacques Brel song, which translates to My Death. And I think that it's a really, like, with Bowie passing away, it's a really interesting song to listen to. It's one of those ones that the lyrics on it, he translates it from French because it's a French singer-songwriter song, and it's the lines on it are really awesome, and he tries to quiet the crowd down, and there's a really interesting thing at the beginning where he tries to quiet this crowd down, and he's just like, be quiet, like being real pissy towards them. It's about 6.5 minutes long. and it's awesome. It's not the best Bowie work, but it's really just it's a really great experience to listen to that song, and I think it's a really good one. When you kind of face these sorts of issues of like not just David Bowie's mortality, but like kind of the general mortality. I think it's a really great. It's a really great song.
Yeah.
But, he has something for every flavor.
He really does.
Yeah, like The Man That Sold the World was essentially like a proto-metal album for the most part.
Well, then you remember he made all that 80s pop stuff.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Let's Dance.
And then they bitched
Great.
he was doing pop stuff, so we did that Tin Machine, which was terrible.
Oh, God, Tin Machine's
Tin Machine was probably
it's the only thing that
lowest point of his
I think that's the
career.
only thing that he said that he regretted in his career was Tin Machine.
But those 80s things he was making before that were bitching.
Oh, yeah.
His version of China Girl and all that. Let's Dance.
Let's Dance. Good shit.
Modern Love.
Yeah, that was the ball.
Yeah, that song's great. That song's really good. And I mean, even when he kind of in the 1990s,
some of that was all right. Heart's Filthy Lesson. That shit was weird.
Yeah, I mean,
I like the one with Trent Reznor.
I'm Afraid of Americans.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely put a really solid effort in there.
Yeah, I like. They used to play it on MTV. I'm Afraid of America. I used to like that. Because remember, the other ones was supposed to be a trilogy or something. The ones that had like Heart's Filthy Lesson and all that.
But and also, it is the best song featured in the movie Showgirls. So
there you go.
How many people found out who the fuck David Bowie was this week?
Yeah,
because I swear to God, my whole Facebook feed was people posting videos and songs and stuff like that. So you have to imagine a whole generation of younger brothers and whatever just found out who this dude is.
Actually, can we say something about deaths and mortality? Do you want to know a celebrity death? And it wasn't a very major one, but it affected me a lot.
What's that?
The guy who played Schneider on One Day at a Time. Because I remember I was really young and it was on TV, and I asked my mama, why come he's got, what is that thing in his sleeve? And she said, oh, that's a pack of cigarettes. People used to do that in the 50s.
Yeah.
And then when I got older, I would do it too. And people would call me Schneider from One Day at a Time. So I had a special connection to him. So fun. There's been a lot. I mean, Dusty and then Roddy Piper and all that.
Lemmy.
Roscoe from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
This celebrity, this icon's Holocaust, if you will.
No, it's been a shitty year. So
it really has.
Yeah.
I'm going past through last one. I swear, there was Leonard Nimoy opened the floodgates for this stuff.
Yeah, that's bad.
I mean, it's interesting with Bowie again, though. I went to Amoeba yesterday, actually. They had sold out of his new album
Black
on
Star.
CD.
Yeah.
On CD.
On CD.
Who buys CDs anymore? But they sold out of it, and the CDs are on back order for the next 6 months. Every single David Bowie used album sold out. Basically, everybody cleaned out David Bowie from the entire
store,
the entirety of Amoeba, and that's a lot of used CDs. That's a lot of used records. It's a lot of new vinyl, but albums, CDs. You know,
CDs. Man.
People are actually buying CDs of this.
I had the tape. Wait, do you remember the Bowie's Greatest Hits that was on the tape? That was a good one.
Was it Changes Bowie or something?
Yeah, Changes Bowie. That one was great because it had all his like big hits from the glam rock era, and it had like Space Oddity and the Blue Eyed Soul era, and a little bit of the Low Heroes and the Lodger and the 80s stuff too. So it was a pretty then comprehensive greatest hits for the 70s and 80s. Pre-Tin Machine.
Oh, Tin Machine was
Tin Machine was a waste of time.
What was Tin Machine supposed to be anyway?
It was. I've heard it described as like mock rock disguised as like smart hard rock or some shit, but it was crappy. Whatever it was.
I thought it was just like a knockoff of the Power Station.
Maybe.
Like where he was
Power Station was better. Though.
Yeah, Power Station was much better, but it was like David Bowie decided to become like Robert Palmer all of a sudden. You know?
Power Station did the love song for Commando.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a good movie, but not as good as Conan the Destroyer. But it was a good movie.
Alrighty. Well, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/thegoodspod. We're on Twitter @thegoodspod. Send us your favorite David Bowie songs if you got anything you want to hear.
Why don't you take it out with some Bowie?
Oh, we got to. Yeah. This might turn into a whole thing too. What should we end on?
Oh, man.
Starman.
Starman?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. This is
a tribute to David Bowie and a tribute to the best character in NES Pro Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I kind of like the Amazon, but I'm all for it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is from 1972, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. This is David Bowie with Starman, and we'll see you next week.
Didn't know what time it was, the lights were low. Oh, oh. I leaned back on my radio. Oh, oh. Some cat was laying down some rock and roll, not a soul he said. Then the loud sound, it seemed to fade. Came back like a slow voice on a wave of fade. That weren't no DJ, that was hazy cosmic jive. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He's told us not to blow it, 'cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children lose it, let the children use it, let all the children boogie. Switch on the TV, we may pick him up on channel 2. Look out your window, I can see his light. If we can sparkle, he may land tonight. Don't tell your papa, or he'll get us locked up in fight. There's a starman waiting in the sky. To come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He's told us not to blow it, 'cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children lose it, let the children use it, let all the children boogie. Starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. To blow it, 'cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children lose it, let the children use it, let all the children boogie.
The Goods from the Woods was mixed, edited, and distributed by me, Rivers Langley. You can find the show on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Our theme song was composed by DJ Smiles. Check him out on Twitter at DJ Smiles.